What's up? I don't even know what to call us because we're not galactic beings. We're not from the future. We're not from the past. We were just trapped in a weird soul machine. As this 0 point of Libra is coming in, and I'm down here in Houston for this, feeling the 30-degree weather that we just had to switch over to with this Arctic blast because of the cleaning that we just did from New Orleans all the way up to New York. And I woke up this morning with a very clear understanding of how we've been doing this. So this is Marco Polo app. This is what we use to stay connected. I know that a few of y'all have tried to get a hold of me recently, and it was just because we were keeping this bubble clear. So as we were coming through Scorpio and Venus was coming through, I had a very good understanding of everything because I hold so much of my energy in Venus, and that's what I was here for. These were the Venus transits, right, that stayed conscious, where it was going back and forth like a star, and then it was hitting and changing houses, okay? And this was over time, and this is why I have so much Akashic now that I've woke up and remembered, and we fought off this consciousness grid down, because that's what happened. So Venus was moving through. All of us have Venus somewhere. Some of us hold Venus in Libra, okay? So now Venus became Libra over time, because as this started moving through houses over time, okay? Wherever Venus was, it was picking up all the Akashic of that civilization point in 100 BCE, before civilization, dinosaurs even. That was the missing degrees that we had from way over here. Okay? Now, that's what ended up becoming this hybrid Pisces point that was what they would have called Zeta, but that's just Omega ETA. It deals with time. It's like a Time Lord area that was being held down, and we took that out as a collective. Now I want y'all to follow me. So wherever wherever you have Libra in your chart, because whether it's full or you hold energy, you still have Libra in your chart. So wherever you hold Libra in your chart, you hold some of this information, okay? Because then Libra became the hinge to what we would call other time dimensions, okay? So right now, wherever you are on this planet, wherever your Venus is in your natal, and depending on if you've activated, if you have, then you might be picking up your draconic, like your Venus in draconic, to move into your progressed energy, because this is a big uppity up. Normally that would take 20-year cycle, 7-year Saturn cycle, all these things, but we blew the planets. We completely rewrote the planets. Okay, y'all keep following me. So we're all bubbles in this big, huge, I think I can undo. We're all bubbles in this big, huge bubble, okay? Now, the first waivers came in, and we activated these grids. Now, these grids over time, right, spun, and then Venus went this direction, so now it goes, this is what created what we would call the ley lines, is Venus going over and doing this Star of David on each transit count, okay? So, wherever you are on this planet, and whatever Venus frequency you're putting out is your reality, period, dot. Because Venus activates, like, Venus is the music lines that the notes go in. So it dictates your reality, okay? But this bubble is not two-dimensional. This bubble is a round sphere, okay? So if you can imagine that I just pulled those green dots about 200,000 feet up, and now these green dots have a connection way over all those other lines because these green dots are 200,000 feet above it, right? Okay. Well, that's how the collective has been working together to pull us out of this soul machine, because it was. You were energetically bound down to your DNA in a machine. You were. Now, as we were activating and clearing, so what the game was to wake us, because there was a few of us that they would only wake up whenever we had to go and do some serious cleaning, because what they were doing is waking us up and then putting us out, waking us up, putting us out. This is why we have so many remembrances of not making it. This was the curse on our lines. Only because, now realize that whenever I go from here to here, there could be a 1300 gate here, there could be a 1500 gate here. This one could be in the year 9000, literally programmed to the year 9000, but running the year 3000. And then this one over here is running the year 6000. Now that's possible, because if you're in different dimensions, then if you're on a higher timeline, you could be, like the government was running on 4000. That's how Rumpy Rump got in there, because that was an election from the future with the DNA. So they brought in Ohana, Obama, Aloha, okay, AI. And then that president basically infiltrated the presidency, but it was done before. However, realized they were just going back to what we'd call the red dot, the past, or the black dot in the future, and activating those specific beings that held those DNA counts associated to the presidency. Now, y'all follow me? Because we were cloned and hybridized. So like when you activate one of us, because of everything that we're made of, then we have to clean all of it in order to get out. So if you made all the presidents, then you just cleaned all the presidents. If you made all the cartel, well, you just cleaned the cartel. Okay? That's what they had us doing. So they'd wake us up, shock activate us. So I know the Doomsday Seeds were shock activated 2016. Which would have taken us back to the most ancient. Because this was the mother of all halls. So this was like, had to wake up every single one of us to take it back as far to zero as you could for them to take over, right? So what I'm saying is, when they would activate one of us, okay, so they activate this one, and we're all connected, and then we activate this one, and realize it started with the Doomsday Seeds were all RH negatives of all different bloodlines, and then they all had to blend, okay? It's all been about blending. So now these all have to blend, but these are connected to this one, which then sets off a whole series of time structures that then, like gears and locks, lock in a time structure around your body, around the physical humans that are living on the streets, connecting grids from this to here to here to here to here. Okay, and these are what we would call timelines. Now, What always happened before is that we would connect these, they would wake us up from the future, and we'd go, well, we're supposed to be XYZ. That's us. That's a mimic. That's our story. That's da 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 da. We all had done that, right? Because it was. Because we were holding the book for that. And so then what happened was, when we activated and we started cleaning ourselves, we opened up that book. Then not only is that book open within us, but all the real characters per our soul are going to come to play their roles. They're going to magnify to you, especially if you're in a scene or an ancient, because that's how it works. So on a mission, or if you had been killed by somebody before, because you're going to have to go find them to try to make right by that, no matter, to get out of that dimension. Even if you don't make right by it, you're still going to come out the way you came in. So they get us to that point, and they see who's coming, and then they were catching the phone lines, they were catching the emails, they were watching the IP addresses, they were seeing who you respond to on Instagram, like, to identify who the others were that are coming, so that they get all the characters in the book. Once they have the characters in the book, then what they started doing was mimicking timelines that we couldn't see yet. And they just stepped into the role, literally, of our past. This is basically how all human existence has been set up on since civilizations. This last one happened in 1500. So then if they take us back, because when they take us backwards, then all they're doing is they've got a whole bunch of O's, because when they make a whole bunch of O's, then those people are going to go back to, let's say, if the timeline's supposed to go back to 1500, well, your O's are only going to take you back to, like, let's say, 1700. Okay? So if you've got the one, let's just say it's the queen of this, of the 1500s, okay? So the queen of the 1500s activates. Well, then that's going to take you to the 1700s, that's going to take you to 1500s, that's going to take you to 1300s, that's going to take you to 1900s. But then on the O blood, most everybody's only going to get to 1900, because they're not going to, even if they have the connections, they're not going to activate all the way up to this one that's holding the whole book, okay? So how it was always trumping us before is because this one up here couldn't hold the consciousness to convince all these that it had already been done before. So it's like a weight, like a peach. So then these O's that only think they can only go back to 1900 because they weren't the seed that set up 1900, then if they're convinced it's 1900, then boom, shakalaka, there you go. It locked the whole thing down. And then up here, we would know the real deal. Okay, well then all of us that were up here that they used to activate, well, there would be your Hollywood. This is where they would know which ones of us were the ones that called them all in. So then they're going to come and offer contracts, music, whatever. You might get shot collared around Los Angeles. That was a pretty interesting. Or Nashville. They have shot collars. That basically they're drug dealers that aren't really drug dealers, who just think they're doing it for a minute, and then they get linked into the mafia, and then they're in LA, and then you're so bright because you can't not see us, because everyone else is down here in fucking 1300. You're not. So it's obvious that you're running it, but you might not realize you're running it. Okay? So then over here in the entertainment world, now these contracts are what was holding. Now these guys were being run by the most powerful ones of us in our gifts, keeping tabs on them because they're wanting to do the same thing. They're wanting to lock this down on whatever timeline they're existing on, right? So it's like this whole California top of the, and they were moving the top of the egg. See, there's the honey pot, the cauldron. It's the United States. That'd be the melting pot. So all the DNA is in there, but it's what is actually setting time. It's setting time. Okay, now, here's what's happening now. This whole thing is wide open. And we've already cleared timelines to take us to out at least to before everything blew up around the 4000s, because they've been hybridizing star seeds down here for so long. There were some of us that were buried down here that had the creation keys, and that's what happened. Because when they woke us up, we rewrote this whole motherfucker, which is what we were supposed to do. So your Earth is terraforming right now. We are very aware of what we're doing. Each planet is being rewritten and has been rewritten for the past 3 years. It's how all of this is taking place. It's why your DNA is changing and hybridizing to a higher form that requires less water. And it's a different oxygen that you're breathing because you're moving into a different area of space. Medical and everything to do with medical and doctors and dentistry is there to stop you. Period. The entire system is there to keep up of your DNA in a massive corporation called Epic, that your DNA became the media that you watch. And the media that you watch has time codes in it to attempt to take you back to wherever those beings are that set up those timelines. So what we've been doing is I've been traveling around is this seed's activated, this seed's activated, this seed's activated, this seed's activated. Well, then I'm putting out a pulse. The very high. And then this one over here is putting out a pulse. And this one over here is putting out a pulse. See, it's going to be white around the edges because it's going to be stronger. And this one here is putting out a pulse. Now remember, these two guys are tied together. These two guys are tied together. Okay? Now, the white, now, this is your telepathy. So this is how we're talking to each other. Now, this is all of us, 30 million of us around the world with higher DNA timelines. Okay? And because we weren't really from 2000s, no. You might be from 3,000, you might be hybridized from 5,000. That's my point. But then you're not, but then someone else was walking on your timeline. Well, not anymore. So as we're and this is why they sent you to your room. Because whenever I travel, now what's happening is this white is getting black. So each white line's got black in between it. Brindle. Like brindle tiger stripes. Okay? Because each white telepathy of light then has dark carbon that ray just shot through, because why? You've been gridded down from this being and this being energetically. So when we talk about clearing timelines and cake and these different layers, what we've been doing was clearing all the dark matter to create a very firm, but this requires dropping bubbles, dropping magic, pulling people out of the matrix. I mean, it's like, whoa, it's been nuts, but this is what we've been doing as we've traveled to get to each other. So we've been traveling to get to each other, cross-sectioning these timelines, and this is how we got the time keys and the Time Lord keys from him after the Stargate, because then we started controlling the whole realm of consciousness. Their machine no working no more. Their machine no working no more. As a collective, we decided by DNA, because the DNA that is on the planet and what was activated in order to clear the DNA and set all of this up within the human body is what is causing all the changes in the air and everything else. And the weather, and that it's 50 degrees in Houston right now. Like it woke up summer. This was the fall equinox, the whole moon, everything was clear to timelines. There's no more charges running backwards, because there's no more backwards. There's no more backwards. It's grasshopper. You can only go forward. There is no more backwards. So when we talk about keeping our energy high and focusing on only the future, okay, and especially in like right now, because now we've got 14 days leading to the new moons. We just had a big wash. We just need to forget it. We need to forget it. If something comes up to trigger you and makes you feel that way, that's because you're in an energy line of that feeling, but it's not happening again. Only your mind can recreate it happening again. Meanwhile, you're quantum jumping, so you're in a dimension that you shouldn't be in, or you were in a dimension that you were powering a dimension way higher than yours, that now you've got a ticket to the show. If you can keep your frequency, because your frequency's got to hit the grid. So we got to get our frequency wherever we are in these different time counts, all of us that are holding different energetics from those future lines, because that is what's sending out those signals saying, oh wait, there's the real actress, there's the real media person, there's the real da 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 da. And then these red lines will all connect in like a flower of life and basically hover. It's like an energetic, it's like an energy gate, because that's how it was set up, but now it's set up in the positive, because it's moving up. We can only, this is why we only have 4 years, because we only have 4 more years of timelines to be able to jump in and out of before there's no more timelines. I mean, all time will end in less than 4 years. And that's really dictated on how many of us can shift this back to the highest that we can, to build an infrastructure to move on from. But right now, we're basically in the next 3 years, we're having to build it in their spaceship. So, I hope this helps make sense of this. I saw it so clearly this morning, and I wanted to just jump on and make sure that I shared it. So what I'm saying is, each one of us was a wizard. We were holding Time Lord keys from the past and the future. And whatever you believe it, we're set on, whatever your energy is set on, is what you're sending out and calling to you. But just realize that the people in the United Nations, the people in the entertainment industry, the people that were on your TV, anybody that's been on like streaming to you ever was product of that machine. And now all of those positions are up for grab if they're needed in the new dimension. And if they were made from your book. So it's you descending, and deciding, deciding which one you want to do. And then really focusing on that as and microscopically, instead of us having to focus on the whole world. Venus is 13 to 14 degrees Scorpio. So this is where all their timelines, we're going to start seeing what they were about to do. And then you'll see ours. It's basically like you'll see their cards first. It's like we call. So we'll see their cards first, and then you'll see the universe's answer. Okay? Right now. Because theirs are gonna imprint quicker because they're on a lower. And there's more people imprinting their lowers. Okay? So it's gonna imprint quicker. But then as Venus gets out and closer, like 16 degrees, then it's going to hit more of the masses. We're going to start seeing their mass programs, what they were planning on doing to lock us back down. But then there will be the answer on it. And it's coming from the universe and the collective, who are now got a basket on this motherfucker. And we're holding it right here. And we just picking it up and moving it. Oh, no, sorry, can't do that. Okay, how about, all right, thanks for sideswiping that. All right, hold on, everybody duck. Okay, everybody stand up.